Good morning, everyone. So my talk today is about spiritual entrepreneurship. Now you might think that do those things even go together? Let me first talk to you about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, leadership. It's important for us to understand and take away from what we have heard in society, the stereotypes, right? Or what we've seen in our families. Entrepreneurs are meant to be hustlers. They're meant to be working 24 hours a day, 360. I mean, that's what we hear, right? We watch shows like Suits, we watch Shark Tank, we watch Gordon Ramsay really, really grilling the people on his team. And that's what we understand of being a successful entrepreneur. We feel that you need to hit your targets, you need to make profits, you need to look at your bottom line before anything else. And why not? Yeah, it is important to make money, it's important to have a successful business. And the other side of entrepreneurship and businesses, especially I feel in our country, is faith and belief. And that faith and belief comes in various forms. It comes in the form of religion, superstition, very prevalent in the industry I come from. Numerology, astrology, Vastu, Feng Shui, it's all there, right? And we are doing all of it to make sure that the next film we're making is going to be a super hit. However, I want to talk to you today about my personal journey, and I want to talk to you about balancing the hard work with faith and belief. So to take you down memory lane, for me at least, I was born in Bombay to a family which belongs to the film industry. My father, an extremely successful, renowned filmmaker, who while I was growing up was making hits after hits. I don't think his record has been broken yet. He was a workaholic. He had to be. He was a self-made person, and he is a self-made person, and he had to put in the kind of effort that nobody else was. He was awake when people were sleeping. And so I have to be honest, I didn't see much of him, except on film sets. That's probably what drove me away from the film sets. But my parents both they come from very humble background. And so they wanted me to have a down-to-earth upbringing. So they didn't send me to a private school. I went to a government school just down the road. And as a student, and I'm sure many of you may relate to this, I was pretty below average, okay? I didn't really do well in academics. I wasn't a sports person. I wasn't creative either. Literally, I couldn't find anything that I was great at. It was only in 8th grade when I encountered an amazing teacher, and this is why I have so much respect and gratitude for teachers and educational institutions, because it was her confidence in me that helped me understand and believe in myself as a student, and which is why I love coming to campuses like that, because it gives me so much joy that we are really shaping individuals. So I did really well in my 9th and 10th standard, and my parents then decided to send me to boarding school in the UK, and I did the IB. Yes, all those years ago, just like all of you, I did the IB. Loved it, brought in a very different perspective to education for me. And then I went to King's College and did a management degree. Yes, I didn't go to film school, I didn't learn to become a filmmaker, I did management. I worked in London for a year or so, and then it was time. Many of you who belong to business families may relate to this. My father called me back. He said, I've built this big empire, which he had. Besides being a filmmaker, he had built this entertainment company, which was dealing in production, distribution, and he wanted me to come back and help him run it. I was scared, very nervous, because I didn't think that I fit in to that stereotype of entrepreneurs that I had seen in my life. My role model was my father, is my father, but he is still a workaholic. And I couldn't do that. So I was really afraid that whether I was going to be able to live up to those expectations. Luckily for me, he also knew that. And so he brought me in to execute this dream of his, which was in world-class film institute in Mumbai. We are the largest industry in the world, however, we didn't have any international level world-class film institutions, and he felt the need for that in the industry. For all those students who don't belong to film families, to be able to learn and create a network. I was excited. Like a dutiful daughter, I came back. And we started Whistling Woods. Now in hindsight, when I think about it, for the first 10 years of me being part of the founding team, being the chairman's daughter, honestly, did not really, I really wasn't a good leader at that point. I wasn't really being an entrepreneur. I was just following instructions. Obviously, I had no experience in building a film school. I was drawing upon the vision of my father. I was drawing upon the experience of the people around me. Again, very fortunate to have them. But I wasn't really able to bring myself to the project. It was only in 2012 when we at Whistling Woods hit a huge roadblock. And this roadblock, I think, was a turning point in my life, in my entrepreneurial journey. We had a court case that actually questioned the very existence of our institute. 10 years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, 10 years of spending everything we had in our bank accounts, and then for someone to say that you may not exist in 2 years. And this was when, I think, in my entrepreneurial journey, it was the lowest point. And that is when I sought some kind of anchor, some kind of philosophy that would help me understand how to deal with life. It is here when I encountered Buddhism. I started practicing it, I started studying it, I started imbibing it. What I loved about Buddhism was that it didn't really tell me to look for some power outside of myself. It taught me how to become the best version of myself. It taught me that, stereotypically we look at Buddha and we look at him as a calm, serene person, yeah? It taught me that Buddha was a lot more about courage, about conviction, about compassion, about empathy. And I realized that the more I practiced, and this was what was leading to the continuous improvement in my life, the more I practiced, I realized that I was imbibing all those properties or qualities of the Buddha in my own life. I was becoming more compassionate. I was becoming more trusting. And more than anything else, spirituality gave me this very strong anchorage that I needed in my life. It made me look at problems differently. Yeah? I started responding to my situation and the people and the toxicity in my life rather than reacting to it. I started believing that the power to change my own situation lies within me, not outside of me. I started looking at people with more trusting eyes and created an inclusive environment at Whistling Woods. Really making sure that there was equality, making sure that we were promoting women leaders when they were due for a promotion, and creating that balance at the workplace, not just for women, but for men as well. And when I started doing this, I started seeing a lot of positive in my life. Because I was positive, my team was positive. Everyone was working super hard. By the end of 2 years, Whistling Woods was a different place. Thankfully, we got a stay and we could continue operations. But also, we expanded. We were not just a film school anymore. We expanded into various other fields of creative education. We went mainstream with our tie-up with the university. And I think that is what made me realize that as a true leader, as a true entrepreneur, you need to be really true to yourself. You need to understand who you are before you can lead an organization to success. Yeah? Kaizen doesn't really only teach us, actually it doesn't teach us about being perfect. It teaches us to be human by making daily improvements in our lives which lead to good habits. And my Buddhist practice teaches us about the same thing. We call it human revolution, progressing every day, like a spiritual workout, to make sure that all these qualities become a habit. And then you don't need to think about it twice, right? My journey in spiritual entrepreneurship also relates with Kaizen because it talks about creating value not just for myself, but for my team, for the people around me. And I think that internal change that leads to a happier, more productive, more efficient organization is what leadership is all about. Carrying your people with you. I want to just list out a few key points that you can take away from my journey, from my talk, which I have learned over the years. One, see challenges as opportunities. If in 2012 we did not have that challenge, I would not be here talking to you today. I would not have had the journey I've had today. I would not have become the humanistic leader or entrepreneur, educator that I am today. Learn from your setbacks, especially at your age. As teenagers, you're going through so much. There are going to be setbacks. Remember, they are only helping you polish your life for you to become a better version of yourself. Understand, and this is really important, understand that your worth is not defined by immediate success. Imagine if the 13-year-old me would have actually believed that the really incompetent student that I was in school is going to define the rest of my life. It didn't, and it doesn't have to. So don't get into that negative spiral, and this is where I feel a life philosophy, any philosophy that you can attach yourself to at a young age. Don't think it's only for seniors. It's absolutely not. I think the youth today needs it more than anyone else because of all that you go through. You guys really have a lot of challenges out there. And so you need it more than we even needed it when we were young. 3 things that I would like to leave you with. Balance. Remember to always do what you love, pursue your passion. However, don't let it consume you. Extremely important to create that balance in your life. 2, people. Not the social media connectivity that we have, but real connections, real relationships. Our parents, our family members, our friendships. We need to keep those connections. Without connections, life can be pretty empty. And 3rd, and this is my favorite and the most difficult to probably achieve, is purpose, ikigai. To really understand the purpose of your life, why you are where you are. What is the difference that you can make as an individual in your teams, in your neighborhood, in your society, in your community, in your country, and most of all, to the planet that we live on. It is extremely important that we as entrepreneurs, as business people, as leaders, think about what our purpose is, and that is how we will really truly live fulfilling lives. I want to end my talk by quoting my mentor, Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, who said, "Success, victory, and happiness are all to be found in a forward motion." So keep advancing, guys, but don't forget about that purpose of your life. Thank you so much.